Welcome back to the Morning Brew, everybody. I am your host, Amber Hendren, here with Dan Mayfield from Albuquerque Business First. And joining us are, we've got people from TEDxABQ Salon. We have Tim Knisley and Summer Smith, and we'll be discussing this very critical topic of law enforcement in Albuquerque. And right off the bat, let's roll into a video and explain more.
There's an absolute 100% disconnect between the police and the community, period. You know, the concept of community policing doesn't exist right now. Right now, like, we're at war with each other, you know, and nobody's talking to each other. Everybody's voices need to be heard. The citizens are complaining, you know, the Department of Justice is saying their stuff, the mayor's office is saying its stuff, the city council is saying its stuff, but the voice of the police officer isn't being heard. I want to find out what the police officers want to have done to make their job better. You know, how can they have the support necessary so that they don't feel like their first option is to kill somebody? You know, so that involves, you know, change in training. It involves a change in how they're armed. It involves, you know, advocating for a different kind, you know, set of weapons. It involves de-escalation training. Right now, you know, every police officer in Albuquerque is hunkered down. They're fearful. You know, they're pissed. They're fearful. They don't know what the heck to do. And I can tell you, what you need to do is you need to stand up and start talking. You know, and start talking in such a way that we can resolve this issue together as a community.
It seems really surreal that we're actually talking about this, but this is the world that we live in. So Tim Knisley, good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, I'm so glad to see you. And Summer Smith, this is your project. This is your topic and your passion. Tell us more about what we can do and what we're going to learn on Thursday.
So I am part of a group of organizations. We're actually 12 different organizations who have come together, and after the protests kind of had escalated, and we noticed that as a community, the conversation had become really polarized, and we were looking at kind of an us versus them mentality. Either you were for the police or you were, you know, against them and wanted to see reform. And so we didn't, you know, we got together and really were looking at the issue and thinking this isn't a constructive dialogue that's happening in our city, and we really need to move forward to get informed perspectives, look at it from all of the different sides, and then come together and really see how we can move forward as a community. This isn't an issue that's new in Albuquerque. It's been going on for 40 years. And so this time we really have to figure out how we can find a solution that's going to address the issue, because this is a really serious, critical issue in our city. It's, you know, we're looking at a potential to kind of really see things disintegrate if we don't move to action, and so that's the goal.
It's a quality of life issue. It's an economic, you know, it's an issue for economics. It's an issue for quality of life. It's an issue for civil rights
And safety. Development.
Economic development. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Dan.
And I mean, you know, the TEDx format is entirely different than most things. So what do you guys bring to that? How is that going to be different from, you know, what you might see at a city council meeting?
I think what's interesting about the TEDxABQ format is we've really focused on helping people distill down decades of research. These are people that have lived in these areas for a long time, so we've really tried to find the best people in the city and get their perspectives on this. You know, Summer told me a story about a great video she saw about two groups of protesters just yelling at each other, and there's no communication happening there.
You know, protesters on different sides of the issue.
Just yelling back and forth, and there's no communications, no one's learning anything. So we're trying to put together an event where you can check out the event on TEDxABQ.com live on Thursday night. There's a simulcast going out, and grab a group of friends and sit down, and you can learn all about this issue from people that have been thinking about it for a very long time.
And what does protect and serve in this?
Well,
So protect and serve basically is this concept, right, of police being the protectors of our community and serving the public, right? And so we've kind of seen that relationship disintegrate. We've seen the police become more and more kind of apart from the community. We don't see community policing happening. When you cross a police officer in the street, how often do they say hello to you? Not very often. And so we're really looking at what, you know, figuring out what it means to the community to be protected and served, and kind of what the public wants to see their police force operate, how they want to see them operate.
And you know, it covers, I think the interesting thing about Salon too is that this is a big puzzle with there's mental health that's involved with this. We have to figure out our mental health issues. There's the issues at the jail that's involved with this, and how we actually cycle people through the jail system here. And then there's a police training. There's a lot of different elements that are kind of going into this too. And so it's a big puzzle to fix, and we're not going to be able to solve any piece in isolation. So by looking at the whole picture, hopefully we can get a better idea of how to move forward.
Tim, can we talk about some of the speakers that you'll be having? at this event?
Absolutely.
Summer?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, so we've got 5 and we're seeking one more. So we'll hopefully have 6 at the event. We've got a professor from UNM who works in American Studies and has been a pretty outspoken analyst of kind of the situation. He has a great historical background. That's David Correa. We're really glad to have him. We've also got a principal from the American Sign Language Academy, which is a school downtown, and that's Rafe Martinez, and he's going to be talking about how he engages police at his school to kind of help connect them to the community, and especially the deaf community,
Okay.
and how they can kind of use community as a way to get trained on specific populations.
That's a very unique perspective.
Yeah, he's
Well, they've had trouble with specific populations.
right. And imagine, in a situation where someone, is hard of hearing and they get stopped by the police and they're not responding to commands, how quickly that could escalate, especially in the situation that we're in currently.
It's very terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah, and so he's bringing that perspective. We've also got a retired police officer, and so Deb is going to talk about kind of the challenges and how it's not really black and white when you're in the force, and kind of the challenges that you have to face daily. She was the first female SWAT commander in Albuquerque, and actually I think the only that we've ever had a female. So she's a really strong perspective that we're bringing. We also have, who am I forgetting here?
Well, that's all right.
Well,
We do know
Don't
it's
give it
sold out,
all
though.
away.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, save some for the surprise.
A little night. We've got a clip from Hakeem Bellamy. He's the poet laureate of Albuquerque here at a civic, at a leadership.
So it's a city
meeting
council
here,
meeting.
City council meeting.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he'll be actually speaking at TED 2, delivering a poem.
He will?
Oh, great.
Okay, let's watch this clip.
And we're gathering 30-second, minute-long stories, 3-minute, if it needs to be that long, stories from people saying, what do you want? What do you want when an officer comes to your door? And conversely, from the officers and people who are on that side, if you will, of the argument, what does the community need to do to help us work together to build something that's going to really help us and our children moving forward? If you could talk to an officer, or the other side, if an officer could talk to the community, because we want both. We want both perspectives on what we can do to work together. What the mainstream media is doing is woefully inadequate for the discussion that we need to have as a community to really build what we want to build. And we want to work with you, and we want to work with them to have people tell their stories and have other people tell the stories for us. Because if you can see, we've been really entertaining in Washington and New York, and that's great for news and ratings, but what are we going to do to actually solve the problem here?
What a brilliant man.
I love Hakeem. So how deep are you guys going to be getting into this? I mean, is it the thing that you're going to be talking deeply about the DOJ investigation? Are you going to be talking more about what we can do going forward? Where are you guys going on this?
So it's a variety of perspectives. I think it's going to cover several issues really in depth. I don't think we're going to be talking about the DOJ investigation exactly. We'll kind of see how that goes. It's always interesting because we're not quite sure what comes out of these conversations. It's always, it's kind of a community forum where we're putting all these perspectives out there. And then we'll see where it goes. And I think that'll be what's really interesting about it. The great thing about Protect and Serve is that Thursday's event is just a piece of a much larger movement to find community voices, to engage leadership in Albuquerque, to really bring the parties together to solve this issue.
And it did sell out.
It did sell
In
out,
record
yes.
time.
Yes, but
2
you can still
hours.
watch it. You
We're
can
very
still
happy.
find it. It's still on the web, right? There's still
It is.
There's a simulcast.
There'll be a simulcast at TEDxABQ.com. You can go to Facebook.com/TEDxABQ, find out more information. Please do gather a group of friends. We'll be having some spaces around the city where you can go and join other groups of people and watch it as well. So there's a lot of opportunity to interact.
Well, this is a dialogue, a discussion that definitely continues, and I hope that something good comes out of this, as I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
Summer, what is your background? Tell us a little bit about you.
My background is in communications, so I'm actually the general manager at a small communications firm that works with nonprofits and community organizations, and so kind of we're coming at this protect and serve effort from that background of creating like a communications tool that can be used by the community. And so actually Protect and Serve began as separate from TED. And so it's actually a Facebook page. You can see it at facebook.com/protectandserveabq. And we wanted to collect testimonies from the community, videos or small writing pieces that could be, then mobilized through some format to decision makers so that they're really connecting with the community. There's that question, right? We haven't really seen the mayor come out. And so how can we
Where's the
get,
mayor?
how can we get those words out to them?
Well, these are some deep discussion that's going to go on. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for being a part of the conversation.
See you guys
appreciate
Thursday
it.
night at the Salon.
Yes.
That's a winner.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you, everybody. We've got Tanya Giddings coming up after the break. Don't go
She's going to
away.
explain how to read your property tax
Yeah.
bill.
Oh boy.
Eat your spinach.
Open it. Why don't you just start by opening it?